Hello, hello, how do you do? This is Kathy from kathysright.com. You can tell I haven't played guitar in a while, but I'm too cheap to pay for something that I could do myself. Welcome. This is Kathy with kathysright.com. For a while now, I've kind of been on a mission. I've always been a Republican. However, what I'm seeing lately is a lot of black people, very much like me, are understanding that they're going to have to be intellectually honest and spiritually, you have to have integrity. And what we're seeing with the Brexit and the walk away movement are stories of that kind. You have to realize how brave these young people are. Most of them are young. There are old people coming into the fold as well, and a lot of times these are your Christian people, or more Christian black people are coming into the fold. Mostly because Christians don't like lies. Christians don't like it. I'm a Catholic Christian, but when I'm looking at the television, and most of us have pretty big TVs now, so when pundits on CNN or ABC are looking at the camera, but it feels like they're looking at my face, and it feels like they're lying to my face because I know what they're saying is totally untrue, because it's become untrue for years. Like, they'll tell a story over and over and over, hoping you'll believe it and turning it into the truth, but it never really becomes the truth. Kind of like the Mueller report, kind of like that. Because what we saw there was, for weeks and weeks, we heard pundits on ABC, CBS, NBC, MSNBC tell us over and over, this is going to do it. This is going to take down Donald Trump. They have ample evidence. Adam Schiff said he had so much evidence it was going to be out of this world. Well, when it came down to it, he had nothing. And he knew he had nothing all that time. And ABC, CBS, NBC, mainstream media, they also knew that he had nothing. But they went along with it anyway. Go along to get along. Because they're all in this club. And this club wants power. And they get their power by convincing you and I that a lie is the truth. They've been doing it for years. I can go all the way back to, the slave days. You don't have to be black to identify. But when you go back to the slave days, they lied to the slaves all the time to control them. They didn't want them communicating with each other, because if they communicated, they would have knowledge, and knowledge can translate into power. And so that's another reason they did not want slaves to learn to read. Well, guess what? ABC, NBC, and all of that. We can all read now, and we don't have to go exclusively to you, CNN, for information. We could go on our computers right now when we're watching TV and prove you to be the liars that you are. And I personally do not like being lied to, especially in my face. And you have to understand, with these big TVs, their faces are about 12 inches, 13 inches tall. You're looking at me at that 13-inch face and lying to my face. It's just so insulting. I'm just asking for a little bit of honesty. But you know that they're all in cahoots with the lies, because if you flip from channel to channel, they tell the story the same exact way. They have the exact phrases. Manufactured. Tucker Carlson likes to show the montage of how they do this. And it's comical if it wasn't so sad and so many people didn't get sucked in. But as a matter of intellectual honesty, you have to look at that and say, okay, what they're telling me is full of BS. If they're doing this on a daily basis, why should I believe them on anything? When we were kids, there was an Aesop's fable called The Boy Who Cried Wolf. And in The Boy Who Cried Wolf, this little boy was in charge of taking care of the sheep away from the villagers. The villagers did a lot of hard work, but he was in charge of the sheep, and his job was to keep the sheep safe from wolves and anything that might harm the flock, because they all depended on those sheep, the village. And so the young man was bored, I would say, one day, and he decided, nobody cares, nobody's paying attention to me, so I'm going to cry, wolf, wolf. And he yelled, and the villagers came running with their pitchforks and whatever kind of weapon they had to get rid of this wolf. But they found no wolf. And he half-heartedly laughed a little bit, thinking, oh, well, I just was bored. Not sure if he actually told him that, but it's a fable. And so they went back to their work, and they trusted the little boy. The little boy got bored again. He goes, that kind of felt cool. All I have to do is yell wolf, and everybody comes to run. And they're controlled by me. All I have to do is say a few words, and they'll come running. So the boy said, wolf again. He yelled to the hilltops, and all the villagers came back, and they saw that there was no wolf. And again, the boy got a sense of satisfaction at fooling them again. And, well, after all, he was so bored, and, he got a lot of attention that way. Well, finally, one day, an actual wolf did come. And the sheep were actually in danger. And the little boy cried, wolf, wolf, to the villagers, wolf, wolf. And the villagers, each of them, they shrugged it off. They knew this was just another cry for help by a needy little boy who wanted attention. And he still was crying, wolf. Nobody came. They continued their work. They went in to eat. And they went to bed. So after the wolf killed all of the sheep, the boy went down to the village and he told them what had happened. They lost all of their sheep. And the moral of the story is, he cried wolf and made people think, oh my gosh, this is an emergency. And it wasn't an emergency. So when the real emergency came, no one believed the little boy. Would you? So mainstream media is that little boy. If they do ever tell a truthful story, particularly about our president, we won't believe them because they've lied so many times. If our president ever does something bad, which I doubt he will do because he has really laid down his life for our country, he's not having fun. This isn't fun. Always being investigated, always having that threat over your shoulder. That's not fun. Being called names all the time, having your family be called names, investigated. Your children are talked about by comedians. Same comedians, by the way, who said nothing about poor, unfortunate-looking Chelsea Clinton. Nobody said a thing because, it was hands off. Including the public. We wouldn't do that because she's a child, right? But now she's grown. And she's still unfortunate looking. Feel sorry for her because, I know she's got gobs of makeup on. And as a girl who likes makeup myself, I'm like, it takes Oprah a lot of makeup to look good. And you know that she's got people to make up her face. There's no way. I feel sorry for her. I'm glad she's got money because, can you imagine? That's one of the last prejudices that seem to be okay nowadays is the prejudice of unfortunate-looking people. It seems to be okay to not hire good-looking people. I've been to places like that, and I've had an experience, and I don't know if it was a black or white thing, but many years ago when my son was a baby, I'm an artist, I paint, And sometimes I paint all day. And when I paint all day, I mean, I really lose myself in time. And I needed some titanium white. So I didn't change clothes. I drove my Chevy Astro van to Michael's in San Diego. And we went up and down the aisles because I like to look at everything, even though I wanted to get back to my painting, but I was a mess. Had paint on my face, on my hands, but I thought I was going to run in there, get the titanium white, and come right back. And my son kept taking my keys in and out of my purse, and he was a little baby. And I'm like, oh, Honor, put it back in. Why did I say Honor? His name was Robert. My grandson and my son look identical when they were little. Anyways, and so put the keys back. And so by the time I checked out and got to my van, I realized I couldn't find my keys in my purse. I thought, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? So I go back inside. I spent a good 45 minutes to an hour searching every aisle that I had been on, because I didn't know if Robert had dropped my keys somewhere and maybe somebody kicked it underneath a shelf. And I was looking everywhere. I was exhausted with tiredness, and I had to get home because my other kids were in school and I had to be there when they got home. Needless to say, it became kind of an emergency situation because I couldn't get home without my keys. So I went and asked the manager. He looked like he was maybe 12 years old. Anyways, I asked him, is there anybody who could help me find my keys? And he looked at me. I was kind of tatteredly looking. He goes, what do I look like, a metal detector? I was like, well, really? A metal? I was like so hurt. I was like, what the heck? Why wouldn't he want to help me, a woman with a child? Of course, once I got home and saw myself in the mirror, I could see why he would have hesitancy. I looked pretty awful. And at the time I didn't care because I was just in to buy some paint. But yeah, he was awful. He didn't help me. He didn't ask anybody else to help me. And so I called my husband at work. He came and, got the key to my car through the VIN number from the Chevy dealership. And he got to key my car, and so I could get home in time for my children to arrive. And I was just really hurt. Well, I did leave my phone number and my name for the store in case they found my keys. Well, it just so happens they did find my keys later that evening. And they called me, and I said, well, I'm going to be going to lunch out there tomorrow with a friend. I'll stop by and pick up my keys. Thank you very much. So the next day came around, and of course, when I go to lunch with my friend, and if you know my friend, we like to dress really to the nines when we're just out to lunch. And so we had done some shopping that day, and we were ready for lunch, and I go in there, the same store, same people were there. And without even uttering a word, there was at least 4 or 5 people within, I'd say, a 4-minute time frame that said, oh, ma'am, can I help you? Is there anything I can help you find? Can I do anything for you? I said, I'm just here because I got a call about my keys. Oh, yes. And the manager came. He goes, these are your keys? I go, yes. Don't you remember? That was me yesterday that you said something about a metal detector. He didn't apologize, but he gave me my keys, and I said, thank you. And I left, and I remember thinking, oh, so yesterday when I looked like a bum, you treated me badly. In fact, that when I had gone there the day dressed as an artist, that means not my best clothes because I don't want my best clothes to get paint on them. I mean, there was a lady who even pulled her purse towards herself when she passed by me with my baby, like I was a thief or something. Anyways, it was terrible. But just the following day, now my hair is done, my makeup is done, I'm wearing nice clothes, and I'm ready to go to a nice lunch. And we did a lot of fun things that lunch day, me and my friend, and I was completely treated differently everywhere that I went. I was treated very nicely, extra help. In fact, the strangest things, the last stop we made was, I think it was a Vons, and I went to go get some wine, and